Welcome, friends, and happy Sunday once again. I'm reading from my book, Because He Lives, You Can, taken from the chapter Wisdom for the Journey. When freedom makes room for God. Galatians 5:1. Christ has set us free. This means we're really free. Now hold on to your freedom and don't ever become slaves of the law again. There's something happening across generations that's easy to feel, but hard to explain. Those of us who stand over 50 were raised in a world where structure was strong and in many cases unquestioned. We were taught what to believe, how to worship, what was acceptable and what was not. And while much of it gave us foundation, some of it also carried weight that didn't come from God. Teaching shaped not only by scripture, but by culture, by control, and at times even by voices that reflected superiority instead of humility. There were moments, if we're honest, where doctrine spoke louder than love, where belonging felt conditional, where worth was quietly measured. And yet, by God's grace, we endured. We learned, we held on to Him, sometimes in spite of what we were taught about Him. But then came our children, not always with clarity and not always with reverence, but with a desire to understand for themselves. What we accepted, they examined. What we carried, they set down or redefined. And while that shift has sometimes felt uncomfortable, even unsettling, it's also been necessary. Because what is never questioned is rarely owned. And now our grandchildren, they're growing up with a different kind of freedom, not fully anchored yet, but no longer bound in the same way. They're not as weighed down by inherited expectations, not as confined by interpretations that once went unchallenged. And in that space, there's an opportunity to meet God, not through fear, not through pressure, not through distorted voices, but through a personal, living encounter. Let's be clear. Freedom alone doesn't bring them closer to God. It simply removes some of the barriers that may have once stood in the way. Because just as human doctrine can mislead, so can a life with no foundation at all. But the goal was never control, and it was never chaos. It's always been relationship. So perhaps what we're witnessing isn't the loss of something sacred, but the uncovering of it. A generation less burdened by what man has added and more open, if guided well, to who God truly is. And maybe our new role is not to pull them back into everything that we carried, but to help them discern what was God and what was not. To release what was never His and to hold tightly to what has always been. Because when freedom is met with truth, it doesn't lead them away from God. It may finally lead them to Him. My prayer today is that we come together, generations together, with love and dignity and listening. Listen, guys, have a great week. Know that you're loved and hope to see you next week.